By ticketbash.com. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz, joined by Vinny Tickets. 631-451-1039 is the number to call to join the show. We'll be joined in a moment by WizKid Vinny with the update. Good morning, Vinny.
Good morning, Peter.
And a rough game one for the Rangers last night. We're going to talk about it a lot. We'll hear about it on the update, but certainly not the start that the Rangers were hoping for.
Absolutely not. Played on their heels. They were very physical, and they really wore them down really quick.
Absolutely. And it is time for the Sports Bash Flash, brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. The Embassy Diner is located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. Great food at the Embassy Diner. And here with a great update is WizKid Vinny.
Thanks, Peter. In Game 1 of the NHL Eastern Conference Finals, the Rangers were down 1-0 against the Florida Panthers with 4 minutes left in the game, and were trying to do anything to avoid further bleeding.
Verhaeghe chips it to himself as he went around the defender. Shesterkin came 20 feet out of his net to play it. Off the boards, it came right back to Verhaeghe. An own goal! He tried to center, and it went off the stick of Lafreniere and through the legs of Shesterkin.
John Hours on Sports USA on the call. The final of the game was a 3-0 Panthers shutout. The Rangers' alternate captain Chris Kreider spoke after the game on his opponent's performance for that night.
Back the other way, Verhaeghe chips it to himself as he went around the defender. Shesterkin came 20 feet out of his net to play it. Off the boards, it came right back to Verhaeghe. An own goal! He tried to center, and it went off the stick of Lafreniere and through the legs of Shesterkin.
Oh, we duplicated that
We
one. That's all
duplicated it.
good.
Okay, no problem.
Move right along, Vin.
That might have been a Peter mistake.
It's okay. But yeah, the Panthers destroyed them. Game 2 will be at the Garden tomorrow night at 8 on ESPN.
Yeah, I don't understand. People say the Rangers got shut out. Lafreniere scored a goal last night.
Spoken like a true Islander fan.
I was with my friend last night. He's a Panthers fan, and he said it was a highlight.
Yeah.
Okay. In the NBA Western Conference Finals, the Dallas Mavericks defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves 108-105 in Game 5 last night. Game 2 will be this Friday at 8:30 on TNT. Even though the Knicks' 2024 season is over, Jalen Brunson still getting awards, being named to the All-NBA second team. Not bad. On the diamond, the Yanks were leading 4-0 against the Seattle Mariners in the bottom of the third, and Juan Soto was up at the plate looking to extend the lead.
No, I am not. I believe in this team. I believe in what we have. We just got to play better. Bottom line, we just got to play better. I have to play better.
That's Francisco Lindor. So either Peter made a tremendous bonehead move recording these things, or we have a technical problem. So.
Okay, so what happened was Juan Soto got his second home run of the game, and the final score was a 7-3 Yankees victory. The final game of this 4-game series will be at 12:35, and finally, the Mets were swept by the Cleveland Guardians, losing 6-3 in the final game of the series. Francisco Lindor was axed of the season, despite being only May, is already lost.
No, I am not. I believe in this team. I believe in what we have. We just got to play better. Bottom line, we just got to play better. I have to play better.
The Mets are off tonight, but will begin their 3-game series versus the San Francisco Giants Friday at 7:10. With your Sports Bash Flash, I'm WizKid Vinny Lespinuso.
And Vinny, thank you very much. Again, sorry for the technical problems. That might have been a
Peter.
That might have been a Peter problem, not a Vinny problem or a Sebastiano problem. We're going to be welcoming in our radio audience on LI News Radio in 20 seconds. Okay, thank you, Sebastiano. So 20 seconds, we'll be welcoming in LI News Radio. Lots to cover, more about the Ranger game last night, and we'll also tell you some other ticket news that's going on. Big ticket news this morning. That's coming up in just a few seconds.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Sports Bash brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Falcone Law Firm. If you need to speak to an attorney, call them at 631-6074-LAW. That's 631-607-4520. by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. Visit their website at martylyonsfoundation.org, and by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility, your one-stop shop for marketing content from podcast rooms to film and photography studios. It's the perfect place to showcase your business. For more info, call them at 631-451-1039. Again, good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz, joined by Vinny Tickett. 631-451-1039 is the number to call to join the show. And Vinny, once again, good morning. And obviously for Ranger fans, not a very pleasant morning to wake up after the Game 1 loss to the Florida Panthers. And we kind of touched on it during the pre-show a little bit, but very, very tough start for the Rangers. And you kind of knew that the Panthers were going to present a different challenge for the Rangers in this series. The Panthers play a very heavy game, especially in the playoffs, and it just seemed like they were just smothering the Rangers all night long, and the Blue Shirts just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah. Was it the second or third period with the very low shots on goal? Was that the second?
I thought it was in the first period, the Rangers basically did nothing. They picked it up a little bit in the second, and then they had that little spurt in the third period. But there was one point in the game, I think the Panthers were out shooting the Rangers something like 31-13. The Rangers couldn't do anything. And when they did, they missed some opportunities. They hit a couple of goalposts. They had a couple of breakaways, and that's the one thing about Florida. If you watch enough hockey during the regular season and even into the playoffs, you know that at times the Panthers' tendency is to give up breakaways. And the Rangers had a couple of great chances last night, and Bobrovsky made some big saves on breakaways. So the few chances the Rangers did have, they just weren't able to capitalize on.
Absolutely. They were playing on their heels. They did not play aggressive. They did not go out to take the game. And I think we spoke about this in the last series, and they definitely need to step up their game. But, everybody panics. Everyone said, you hear people talking today, last night, oh, they're in trouble. They're not in trouble. This is a great team. Sorry, Peter. This is a great team.
Are you referring to the Rangers or Florida?
Oh, there you go. They will make adjustments.
This is a 6 or 7 game series again.
Absolutely.
I mean, this. Listen. I think the Rangers and everybody around them obviously spoiled on the first round sweep of the Capitals, and then jumping out 3-0 on Carolina, which really, again, we talked about it last series that all those games were so tight against Carolina. A couple overtime games that the Rangers won to get out to that 3-0 lead, and they wind up winning the series in 6 games. I don't think there's too many people that thought that this Rangers-Panthers series was going to be anything but a 6 or 7 game series. And again, it's one game, absolutely one game. Rangers still have game 2 at home. And let's remember also, I mean, it's not like it's going to Florida is going to be some, unbelievable task of going to. The Rangers are probably going to have a lot of fans down in Florida for games 3 and 4 coming up after game 2 at the Garden. So I don't think there's any reason whatsoever for the Rangers to panic at all after last night.
I agree with that statement. They will make adjustments, and we'll see, hopefully those adjustments work. How do you feel if the Rangers go down tomorrow, down 2, and then going on the road?
I would still not call it a panic situation.
Okay.
I think, and that might be funny to say, because when you're down 0-2, we talked about this in the Islander series in the first round and also even in the second round with the Rangers. You're down 0-2. You've got to win 4 of the next 5 games, which is not an unheard of situation. But in the playoffs, it's very, very tough to do, is that you being down 0-2. Now, especially if you're down 0-2 after losing both games at home, now you're going on the road for games 3 and 4. Not the easiest thing in the world to do. But I don't think this Ranger team is phased at all by having to go on the road, especially, as I mentioned before, going into an environment where they're going to have a lot of their fans in Florida. So it's not going to be like this ridiculous home ice advantage that the Florida Panthers are going to have in games 3 and 4. But we're getting ahead of ourselves with that. There's still a very important game 2 coming up on Friday night. And listen, you talk about adjustments. They're going to have to get more shots to the net. They're going to have to be able to figure out a way to get through the Panthers clogging up the neutral zone. Everything that went wrong for the Rangers last night, they have to figure out a way to fix it. Otherwise, it might be a short series. I don't think it will be that way. So. But I would, again, I don't think you use the P word at all. I mean panic. I don't think at all. But listen, this is a Florida Panthers team this is, they're good. I mean, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals. This is a good hockey team. They got great goaltending, good coaching. Up and down that lineup, they have a very, very solid team. So this, again, I'm sure if you asked the Rangers to a man going into this round, they knew this was not going to be a walk in the park.
Agreed. And to your point, we've all heard of East New York. I think when you get down to Florida, I think they're going to call that South New York when the game takes place.
And that's such an unbelievable dynamic to talk about, because you can talk about that in any sport whatsoever, whether it's hockey. And that goes for the Rangers playing in Florida. It goes for the Islanders playing in Florida when the Devils go down there. Any of the New York teams, the Knicks, the Nets, especially football too. And I've been to enough Jet-Dolphin games in Miami to know that when the Jets play the Dolphins in Miami, it's almost a home game for the Jets. And the Giants, they played a handful of games in Miami over the years, and wherever it might be, Tampa, any of those Sun Belt communities where a lot of New Yorkers have moved to. So that's why I think the Rangers have to embrace the potential, even if they are down 0-2. And I don't think the Rangers will be down 0-2. I think the Rangers will get things figured out and get the series tied up tomorrow night. But again, the task of going down to Florida for 3-4, this is not like going into Boston Garden and trying to beat the Celtics on their home court
it's not
back in the 80s.
True enemy territory,
Yeah,
I think is what we're saying.
This is not like going into, in their heyday, going into Lambeau Field and trying to knock off the Packers in a playoff game. This is not that. This is a good hockey team that Florida has, and they have a good fan base down there in Florida. But again, the Ranger fans will be well positioned at but from a Rangers standpoint, everything that they tried to do last night just wasn't working. Again, very, very few chances, and the few chances they had 2 or 3 goalposts. Then they had the breakaways, and it just didn't work out. Bobrovsky was a rock last night. I thought the Rangers were going to tie the game when they had that flurry on the power play late in the third period.
That was their chance.
That was their
They had to score
chance.
there.
And they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then, look, people can knock Lafreniere all they want for the own goal. He was hustling back on defense and trying to make a play. Now, granted, it was a terrible mistake. He deflects the puck between the pads of Shesterkin. Listen, if it was on the other end, we'd be talking about it as a SportsCenter top 10 play.
Yes.
But it's not. It was an own goal. But I don't know if you can put so much blame on. He was trying to do his job, and listen. When you're an offensively gifted player, the knock on a lot of offensively gifted players is that they don't come back enough and play on defense. Even in the NBA, if you're a big scorer, does the guy come back and try to defend? In this case, Lafreniere was trying to do his job. The guy who you could blame is Shesterkin.
Absolutely.
And he was
20 feet out of the goal.
There was no reason.
You cannot go out there.
No.
And he does that a lot. And listen, I'm a Ranger guy. I love Shesterkin. But you cannot, when you have defenders there, if the ice is clear, when you have defenders there, you cannot come out 20 feet to play a puck.
Right.
You just can't.
And there's very few goalies. Now, listen, Shesterkin is an unbelievable goalie. One of the, if he's not the best goalie in the NHL, he's in the top 5. And there's a number of players you can talk about that share that conversation. But there are some goalies, even the great ones, that just can't play the puck. And I don't think he's a horrible puck handler, but he tends to navigate his way out of the net way too much. And I think that goal was more on him than it was on Lafreniere, who actually put the puck.
You beat me to the punch on that one, Peter.
Yeah, well, it's kind of what I do.
Well, because you're so good.
631-451-1039. If you're a Rangers fan, are you worried? Are you concerned? Is this some, was it Stanley Cup or bust? Are you worried about this now against this Florida Panthers team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, and now the Rangers find themselves for the first time in the postseason are trailing in a series? So they swept the Capitals. They were up 3-0 on the Hurricanes and won the series. Now the Rangers, for the first time in the playoffs, are going to have to play from behind.
Play from behind, and this is where the true character of any organization or any sports team really comes into play. They need to step up tomorrow. They need to make adjustments, and they definitely have to come out with a win tomorrow.
We could talk more about that at 631-451-1039. Still to come on Sports Bash, some breaking news in the ticket world yesterday. And we've got the perfect person here in Vinny Tickets to talk about what happened yesterday in the world of tickets. We've got This Day in Sports History coming up with Whiz Kid Vinny. We'll tell you about some upcoming shows. It's all coming up when we come back for more Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. For everyone watching on YouTube and Facebook, stay with us through the break. We'll have some more content while we wait for our radio audience to rejoin us. It's all coming up. Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. And we are still with our Facebook and YouTube audience here on the break for Sports Bash. It's Peter Schwartz, it's Vinny Tickets, and Whiz Kid Vinny is going to have This Day in Sports History. A little tease for tomorrow's This Day in Sports History, because I gave you a very important homework assignment, and I want to make sure that we are on par for that This Day in Sports History tomorrow, because I've got my own work that I'm doing to assist you with that tomorrow.
For anyone that
Don't tell anybody what it is, but I just want to make sure that we're all set for tomorrow, correct?
Indeed we are.
Right.
I would not forget it, especially with how many times you've been telling me about it.
Yes,
And
there's actually two things going on tomorrow. There's This Day in Sports History, and we got something else going on tomorrow, too.
I think we're doing a ticket giveaway. And then I know there's something else.
I was thinking of somebody's birthday tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, my friend Joe Pirapata's birthday is tomorrow. He's my birthday brother out there. So, Joe, if I forget it tomorrow, I'll give you an early one. I want to be the first one on the docket.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Joe Pirapata.
I think it's your birthday.
Oh,
tomorrow,
that's
too.
right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's right,
You
yeah.
said birthday,
That's right.
brother.
25?
27.
27.
Yeah, close enough.
And we do have a free ticket Friday coming up tomorrow. Yankee fans, first place by 3 games in the AL East over the Baltimore Orioles. And we are going to have a Yankees ticket giveaway tomorrow. So you want to stay tuned and get ready, because you're going to earn those tickets tomorrow.
Absolutely.
We have to come up with a trivia question.
wonder what that could be.
I don't know, but we're going to have to come up with something good, because that's how we're giving away the Yankee tickets on the show Friday, is with a trivia question. And also, we have a big show on Monday for Memorial Day. Mark Cannizzaro from the New York Post is going to join us to talk about the Jets and the Giants. That's coming up on Monday. But when we come back now in just a few moments, we are going to have This Day in Sports History. We'll take your phone calls and some big ticket news coming up when we come back. Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. 631-451-1039 is the number to call to join the show. Before we get to Whiz Kid Vinny with This Day in Sports History, I do want to send out congratulations to my good friend Joe Pantorno, who is the sports editor at AM New York, and his lovely wife Danielle, as they are now proud parents. Benedetto Richard Pantorno was born May 19th at 12:15 in the morning. There's a great picture that our viewers are looking at. Little Benedetto with that little Islanders banner behind him. And congratulations to Joe and Danielle. You're going to do a great job as parents. Beautiful young man there, Benedetto, and congratulations to the Pantorno family.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Love lots of vowels in the name.
Absolutely. So, Joe and Danielle, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing Benedetto growing into the big Islanders hockey fan that we know Joe wants him to be. So, congratulations again. It is time now for This Day in Sports History. Whiz Kid Vinny, take it away.
Thank you so much, Peter. And
Whiz Kid Vinny 0 for 2 in Stump the Whiz.
He's going 3:30. After next week, I have him at 3:33.
Yeah, don't forget to send in your questions privately to Instagram and Facebook on the Sports Bash media page, so you can try and stump.
They're really
the
piling
Whiz.
up those questions. I love it.
It's like the talk of Long Island.
Yes, it's exciting.
Yeah, but while talking about hockey, let's talk about something that happened in 2010, because the Chicago Blackhawks made the Stanley Cup Finals after sweeping the San Jose Sharks, and this led to their Stanley Cup Final against the Philadelphia Flyers, and that would be the start of their dynasty, which lasted in the 2010s. They were one of the premier teams of the NHL in the Western Conference during that era, and it was a long time coming. This Blackhawks team in particular was really special. It was their first division title since 1983. They beat the Nashville Predators in 6 games, and their interdivision rival, the Vancouver Canucks, they beat them in 6 games. And number 1 seed was the San Jose Sharks. They won the President's Trophy the year prior. In that era, they'd always make the playoffs. And despite being the number 1 seed, the Blackhawks swept them handily. And, they won their first Stanley Cup.
That first Stanley Cup against the Flyers, and I remember this because I was watching the game. It was in overtime, and there was a goal that was not originally called a goal, and they kept going, and the announcers are like, that puck went in the net. The Blackhawks were celebrating as if they won the cup, but they didn't call it a goal. The play was going on until there was a break, and they looked at it, and the Panthers actually, the Blackhawks actually won the Stanley Cup on a goal that had to be reviewed by instant replay. Wow. Not great for their announcers because you want to be able to call, the Blackhawks have won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And John Weideman, their radio announcer, had to wait before he called it Stanley Cup. So that's what I remember.
3-minute delay.
The 3-minute delay, yeah.
But even for Chicago, it took them almost 50 years before they had another Stanley Cup. They didn't win for a long time. There was a whole curse going on with them.
Lots of droughts in Chicago, huh?
Not the longest.
And we're not talking about the weather.
No.
Not their longest one, but it was definitely a lengthy one.
What is the longest one?
Well, of course, the Cubs, 108 years. But let's not forget, the White Sox also had an 88-year drought as well. Like, people think of the Red Sox and the Cubs, but the White Sox were right there kind of sandwiched in between the two in 2005. Then they swept the Houston Astros back when they're a National League team. And, there were numerous droughts in Chicago that were broken this century.
You know what's pretty amazing? You say it's 108 years. That's like there's 2 generations.
2 generations.
Like a father who's 30 years old and has a kid. Not only did the father never see it, but the kid never saw it either. 108 years.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's
rough when that kind of stuff is passed down from generation to generation.
I would say
I feel bad that I've got my kids, my wife and I have our kids as Jet fans, and I only saw the one when I was a year and a half old, and God knows if we'll ever see it again.
Well, I would argue that this was something that, forget just father and son, don't forget grandfather or even great grandfather, depending on how old they were. And when it comes to the Blackhawks, long time coming. Reminds me of how the Rangers had that long drought between Stanley Cups, but
we don't have to go there.
But there's one more still waiting. Looking at you, Maple Leafs. Looking at you.
631-451-1039. We'll go to the phone line showing that nepotism is alive and well, even in sports broadcasting. Bradley is in Wantagh. Bradley, you're up next on Sports Bash.
Hey, Peter. And speaking of droughts, we'll go right to the obvious. 38 years for since the Mets brought home a World Series. So that leads me into.
And that's not ending this year.
Well, that's going to lead into my question. This team, they're finding ways every day to lose games, and they're historically, notoriously, one of the only teams left in the MLB that really don't use analytics to create their starting lineup and strategic element of the game. So what do you think this team needs to do, for the rest of the season? I know we had the Steve Cohen, the tweet that was supposed to be a direct message that they're going to be sellers, but what do you think, and Vinny and Vinny, what do you guys think that the Mets need to do to turn this season around or build for next season?
Well, look, it was only a couple of years ago, and Bradley, thank you for the phone call. That a couple of years ago, the Mets were in the playoffs, and they had all of Steve Cohen's money.
Looking bright.
And they went and spent a lot of money on players. It did not work out. Verlander, one of those guys, and they shipped all these guys off, Max Scherzer as well. And now it's just some of their young players that they're really depending on have not come through. You don't know if Pete Alonso is going to get re-signed. It's actually, I'll go to Wiz on this. The Mets are a mess right now.
I remember how for many years people wouldn't just stop talking about how much they wanted the Wilpons to sell. They would not stop talking about it constantly. And they wanted Steve Cohen. And now, because how the Mets are doing, now they want the Wilpons back. I mean, really? You really want the Wilpons back now?
Well, what do you think is the key? First question for both of you is, can they turn this season around?
No.
The season's over.
So what do you think is the play? Clean house and rebuild again?
I think you sell a lot. You trade Alonso. You trade some of these parts away, and you've got David Stearns who comes in and is this bright baseball mind, and you let him rip this down and build it back up the way it's supposed to. Bradley, thanks a lot for the phone call.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Brad.
I can tell you this. I'm excited to get my $5 tickets on Ticket Bash with no fees.
Yeah.
There you go.
And one more thing
Love
I should
it.
mention.
Thanks, Brad.
I agree with you, Peter. I think the Mets need to fire Sale, salve everyone, and do an Astros-like rebuild.
Absolutely. Bradley, thank you for the phone call. We have a couple of minutes left on the show. I want to get to this. This was big news in the ticket world yesterday. The Justice Department in several states are expected to file a lawsuit as soon as today against Live Nation, citing alleged antitrust violations, at least in part due to the market dominance of the company's Ticketmaster unit. That, according to what a person said yesterday. This goes back to scrutiny in 2022 with glitches at Ticketmaster blocking millions from buying tickets. So in a nutshell, Vinny, as someone in the ticket industry, what does this lawsuit mean for the consumer?
Well, for the consumer, I think that we'll see more competitive pricing, better customer service. I think the breakdown, Ticketmaster is kind of the Goliath in the industry. And whatever they want to do, they do. Literally, during the pandemic, it was an absolute nightmare. They shut off all their phone lines. And you know what? There was nothing that a consumer could do. So somebody needs to get in there and realize that this industry has a black eye, number one. And one of the reasons is that this conglomerate literally can do whatever it wants to do in the ticket industry. So there will be a lot of opportunities for some of these smaller companies that are out there, like Ticket Bash. And, oh, that was a subliminal message I snuck in.
Ticketbash.com.
Yes, sir. So I think for the consumer, I think if there is a breakup, I just hope that, the people that are employed there, that it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect any families. But I will say for the consumer, I think that a breakup could be good for the consumer on a lot of levels. I think that the first and biggest level is pricing, number one. And I think number two, if there is a breakup, I think in service as well, we'll see an increased level of service.
And we'll talk more about this subject as we get more information, as the lawsuit is filed and there's developments. We will certainly be right on top of that here on Sports Bash. Don't forget, tomorrow, it's Free Ticket Friday. We're giving away tickets to the first place New York Yankees. So you want to stay tuned for that. Tomorrow we'll have another This Day in Sports History. It's one that really means a lot to me, and I'm really looking forward to it tomorrow. It's also somebody's birthday here tomorrow. We're going to celebrate that as well. So thanks for watching. Sports Bash sponsored by the Embassy Diner, Falcone Law Firm, Collaborate Studios, and the Marty Lyons Foundation. Back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock here on Sports Bash, presented by Ticket Bash.